Not every train takes you where you want to go. Some take you where you were never meant to be. The storm came suddenly that night. Lightning tore across the sky as Daniel hurried into the station, drenched to the bone. He had missed the last train, and the timetable said no more trains were scheduled. But through the sheets of rain, he saw it. An old black locomotive resting on a platform he had never noticed before. Platform 13. The number alone sent a chill down his spine. Still, the storm raged harder, and with no other way home, Daniel stepped aboard. The carriage smelled of dust and damp air. At first glance, it seemed almost normal, rows of passengers sitting quietly. But then Daniel realized none of them moved. They sat stiffly, hands resting on their laps, eyes pale and lifeless. Their skin looked unnaturally smooth, like wax figures left in the heat. When the train jolted forward, not a single passenger reacted. Daniel swallowed hard, clutching his bag. Something was very, very wrong, eh? He decided to find the conductor. Maybe he could explain. Daniel pushed through the carriages, each emptier than the last, until he reached the driver's cabin. The door was slightly open. Inside, a man in uniform sat at the controls. His cap shadowed his face. "Excuse me," Daniel stammered. "When does this train stop?" The conductor turned slowly. Daniel's stomach tightened. The man's face looked wrong, skin pale and stretched too tightly, his eyes dark and hollow, his smile far too wide to be human. "You shouldn't have stayed past the last stop," the conductor rasped. The train shuddered violently, as if it understood, and began to pick up speed. Daniel stumbled back down the aisle, heart racing. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. At last, the train slowed. Relief rushed through him. Finally, a station. But when he looked outside, his relief turned to terror. The platform was broken, covered in dust and cobwebs. The clock above the ticket booth was shattered, its hands frozen at midnight. Through the mist, he saw them, figures standing silently. Their clothes were scorched with dark stains. Their eyes glowed dim, like burned-out lanterns. The doors creaked open. A gust of cold air drifted in. Daniel froze. "Not my stop," he whispered. The figures leaned forward slightly as though preparing to step inside. Then, with a screech, the doors slammed shut. The train tore forward again, leaving the station behind. Shaking, Daniel ran into another carriage, this one completely empty. He collapsed into a seat by the window, trying to steady his breath. But when he glanced at the glass, his blood froze. In the reflection, the carriage wasn't empty. It was full. Men in Victorian suits, women in old gowns, children clutching broken dolls. Every single one of them stared at him. Daniel spun around. The seats were still empty. He looked back at the reflection. One of the passengers had stood up. A man whose head tilted at an unnatural angle as though his neck was broken. Step by step, the man drew closer. Only in the reflection. Closer, closer, until his hand pressed against the glass. Daniel jerked away, then screamed, because cold fingers brushed his wrist, slipping through the reflection. He ripped free, stumbling into the aisle. His reflection stared back at him now, his own face pale, eyes empty, lips sealed shut. Panicking, Daniel fumbled for his ticket. He had to know where this nightmare was taking him, but when he unfolded the paper, his heart nearly stopped. The ink shifted before his eyes, the letters twisting until it read, "Final destination, Station 13. The train plunged into a tunnel so dark it swallowed all light. Sparks spat from the ceiling, the wheels screaming on rusted tracks. At last, it screeched to a halt. The doors opened. Daniel stepped forward, trembling. Outside was not a station, It was a nightmare. Endless tunnels lit by fire. Echoes of screams drifted from the abyss. Shadows crawled along the walls as though alive. And from the intercom, the conductor's voice rasped, "Welcome to Station 13! All passengers must disembark!" The waxy-faced passengers rose in unison, shuffling toward the exit. Daniel stayed frozen, whispering, "I won't go! I can't!" The doors slammed. The train surged forward again, faster than ever. The storm outside returned, lightning flashing through the windows. Daniel pressed against the glass, desperate for escape. Then he saw it. Another set of headlights cut through the storm. An identical black train thundered alongside his. Its windows glowed faintly green. Daniel peered closer and froze. Inside that train sat the same lifeless passengers, and in one of the seats, directly across the glass, sat himself. Another Daniel. Eyes dull, lips sewn tight, skin gray like stone. "No," Daniel whispered. The trains roared closer, sparks flying as the metal scraped. Then, with a deafening boom of thunder, they collided, merging into one. Daniel was thrown to the floor. When he staggered up, his breath caught. He wasn't in his train anymore. He was in theirs. The ghostly passengers turned their heads in perfect unison, staring at him. Daniel staggered back, pounding the doors, screaming, yet no sound came. He touched his lips. They were sealed shut. His hands shook. His skin had lost all color, veins darkening beneath the surface. He looked into the window one last time, but his reflection was gone, because he was already seated among the passengers. The conductor's voice boomed through the carriage. "This train doesn't stop!" "It never has. It never will." Outside, the storm swallowed the train. Its headlights faded into the night, and the legend lived on. A train that appears only in storms. A train that carries souls to Station 13. A train you should never board, because once you do, you never get off.